So in this extended bear market, there's not that many exciting things going on in the crypto world, except in Bitcoin Cash land. They've kind of had a monopoly on all the drama and excitement because of infighting in their community leading up to their scheduled November hard fork. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what all is going on, who all is involved, what do they want, and some general community opinions and analysis. So if you want to learn more about this, then just keep on watching. Hi everyone, I'm Kevin from Bitcoin for Beginners, and welcome back to another episode in my ongoing series called Kevin Talks Crypto, where I break down some of the most interesting topics in the crypto space and share with you guys what I find. So if you can support me and want to follow along this series, then please smash that like button, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who don't know yet, let's take a look at what the drama is all about. So a little bit of background about Bitcoin Cash. It hard forked from Bitcoin or BTC on August 1st, 2017, and its ticker symbol is BCH. The separate sites had different ideas for priorities in terms of scaling solutions. That was a main reason for the split. And so the Bitcoin Cash community has decided to schedule a hard fork every 6 months for regularly planned protocol upgrades. And this is all fine and dandy if there's consensus about those upgrades. But this time there's not. So who started it? Well, Bitcoin ABC, or one of the most important dev teams for Bitcoin Cash, and one of their lead developers, Amaury Sechet, decided to release a new software update for the Bitcoin Cash protocol. And not everybody agreed with this, particularly nChain and the infamous Craig Wright did not like it at all. And so the dispute started between these two sides. So what were the changes that were proposed? Well, this is a snippet by Bitcoin ABC. They wanted to add a new opcode called op_check data sig, which will eventually enable the use of oracles and cross-chain atomic contracts on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And they also want to introduce something called canonical transaction ordering. I'm not going to go too in-depth into that in this video, but basically this lays the foundation for massive scaling improvements in the future. So this is all part of Bitcoin ABC's roadmap that they wrote about on their blog. They want to make Bitcoin Cash the most scalable, the most usable, and the most extensible so that people can make millions or even billions of transactions every day with low fees, good security, and other features making it great for merchants to use, and also letting people build assets and other smart contracts on top of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. So they have a really ambitious roadmap to improve Bitcoin Cash, and these two changes I listed on the previous slide are part of that. However, not everyone liked this. For example, Craig Wright thinks Bitcoin Cash primary usage of the network should be for cash transactions, so he doesn't like littering it with other non-cash transactions. He's also not for canonical transaction ordering at this stage, doesn't think it's the right way to go or has had proper testing so far. So what is the counter proposal from the other side? Well, CoinGeek put out an article saying that they want to restore Bitcoin protocol to its original design by Satoshi himself. And CoinGeek is a huge mining pool for Bitcoin Cash, and their proposals for the November 2018 fork include things such as re-enabling the original set of opcodes, removing the current limit of 201 opcodes per script, and also raising the maximum block size to 128 megabytes from 32 megabytes right now. They also specifically said that they wouldn't support any implementation that has op_data sig verify or canonical transaction ordering because they are not sure that it's the right way to go yet and hasn't had time to do a detailed examination. And so nChain, another player on this side, came out with Jimmy Nguyen, their CEO, and also Craig Wright, saying that they're going to release a new full node implementation of the original Bitcoin protocol that is counter to the implementation that Bitcoin ABC announced. They're going to call it Bitcoin Satoshi Vision or Bitcoin SV. And Jimmy Nguyen said, and I quote, that they're going to answer the call of miners and provide technical capabilities to support Bitcoin SV. So what do the miners want and why does this matter? Well, because Bitcoin Cash is governance by hash rate, right? When there's a fork and different proposals, the miners will vote with their hash power and the minority chain is supposed to die off. That's what I mean by governance by hash rate. And if you want to look further into that, it's something called Nakamoto consensus. That's their governance structure and consensus protocol for Bitcoin Cash and some other cryptocurrencies similar as well. So since the miners are so important, let's look at their respective hash rates. CoinGeek on the right hand side in orange is 25.9%, the largest one. And then on the left hand side, you have Bitmain pools, BTC.com via BTC and Ant pool in red. You got Roger Ver's Bitcoin.com pool in blue and the other one circled in pink. So Bitmain is also very interested and opinionated in this debate. Their leader Jihan Wu called Craig Wright fake Toshi and criticized Craig's rationale for Bitcoin SV. And so this started a lot of drama, and via BTC, like I said, is funded by Bitmain, and their CEO Haipo Yang also does not like Bitcoin SV's proposals. And I included a tweet by him here saying that it's not a good idea to have 128 megabyte blocks right now, and also no cap is not stable either either, but introducing new opcodes is stable. So here is just another view of just Bitmain's mining pool versus CoinGeek's. This was made by Cointelegraph. The numbers are a little bit different, but basically they make huge parts of the Bitcoin Cash hash rate, and the 51% of the other hash power can definitely sway things one way or the other. So a possible motive for Jihan Wu and Bitmain was pointed out by Craig Wright, and he said there's only one reason why they oppose scaling, because they have something called wormhole cash, and if Bitcoin SV gets implemented, then it would remove the need for wormhole cash. And he says that Jihan Wu wants proof of stake so he can take more control of the Bitcoin Cash network. On the right hand side, I have an article from bitcoin.com announcing Wormhole, which is a protocol that allows for tokenization and smart contracts on Bitcoin Cash. And so that's an interesting motive. Some people have refuted that so far, haven't digged too deep into that. That can probably be its own topic for a separate video, but for now I'll just leave it here. Just wanted to point it out to you guys. And what about the other major Bitcoin Cash players? You got Bitcoin Unlimited, Bitcoin.com, Bitcoin Classic, and also Cobra. So in terms of nodes, I already pointed out Bitcoin ABC is the most popular full node implementation at roughly 65%, but Bitcoin Unlimited also have a pretty significant amount of the pie in terms of full node usage at 33%, roughly speaking. So they're really unhappy about this whole drama, and they say that the change sets proposed by ABC and nChain are mutually compatible, but yet they reject the other changes. And so they wrote that it seems the other side really says no changes, no matter how reasonable, except mine strategy is really bad for Bitcoin Cash, and makes it clear that their proposals are more about power and ego instead of technical merit and user adoption. They're also really pushing for compromise for all the undecided or third-party spectators in this community. And so they said run Bitcoin Unlimited to vote for compromise. It's going to incorporate features from both sides and allow them to be activated via BIP 135 or basically minor voting or emergent consensus. So a very interesting solution by Bitcoin Unlimited. And Cobra, which is the co-founder of Bitcoin.org and Bitcoin Talk forums, is really unhappy with this whole thing as well. And they says that incompetent rogue developers like Dead Omnix, who is the lead developer Amaury Sechet of Bitcoin ABC, is pushing his agenda instead of compromising, and really tired of all the amateurs and arguments in the space. He says either upgrade with consensus or don't upgrade at all. And so they announce a Cobra Client, which is a safe and reliable full node Bitcoin Cash implementation. Once again, another choice to the ones I mentioned earlier that's going to attempt to prevent a civil war between the two sides. And so this is going to include none of the above changes, but what it does is ensure replay protection so that if there's a fork because of the infighting going on, then people can keep their coins safe and not be susceptible to replay attacks. And he also says that this chain split seems inevitable at this point. And Cobra's rationale says that this chain split is going to be a disaster for Bitcoin Cash and could cause lasting damage even with a temporary fork. He says it's going to be a disaster for all investors and users of Bitcoin Cash because people are going to ridicule the cryptocurrency and cause widespread loss of trust and faith and damage his reputation and just simply not worth it. And so that's why he wants people to adopt his Cobra Client. And this person claims that he's worked behind the scene to secure support from many Bitcoin Cash stakeholders like a big exchange, as well as at least a quarter of the Bitcoin Cash hash rate. If this is true, then it seems like nChain and Craig Wright has a quarter with CoinGeek's hash rate, Bitcoin ABC has Bitmain's hash rate, and now this third-party group supporting Cobra has another quarter. So very interesting. Seems like there's multiple sides going on. Can't wait to see what happens. What about Roger Ver? Because so far I haven't talked about him, but as you may know, he's a big proponent of Bitcoin Cash. Someone asked him just a few days ago on a Reddit thread, what's your stance on this whole thing? He says still evaluating. And so he also released a video on his YouTube channel a few days ago. You can go watch it below. But basically he says that many of these changes proposed just aren't necessary at all, and he prefers to focus on adoption, partnerships, and so forth. But people have speculated also that Roger Ver holds a lot of sway in the Bitcoin Cash community, so when he decides to throw his hat into a ring supporting any side, then it will really cause waves in the debate. Finally, let's take a look at some other community opinions. Vitalik Buterin himself weighed in and saying that the Bitcoin Cash community should embrace the opportunity to ostracize Craig Wright and split him off from the community once and for all. As you may know, Vitalik and Craig Wright do not like each other. Vitalik thinks he's a complete scam, and they traded verbal jabs often. The Weiss rating also wants Craig Wright to leave, and they're happy for Craig Wright and his group to fork off of Bitcoin Cash. Also, Emin Günsire, also a pretty famous figurehead in the space, also pretty much shares the same opinion. Another person weighed in on Twitter and says that for Bitcoin Cash, he doesn't think 128 megabyte blocks are necessary at all. He says the median block size over the last month is just 37 kilobytes, and there's still no blocks larger than 8 megabytes, despite the limit being 32 megabytes for the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. So he says that there's no point in raising it to 128 megabytes now, and this does make a lot of sense in my mind. Aaron Van Weerdem also wrote on Twitter that turns out if you start a coin by a hard fork without consensus, precedent is to hard fork without consensus. Mind blown. Really interesting way to look at it. I didn't think about that before. more. But some people also do support Craig Wright, though. Reina Nakamoto writes that ABC is experimental and has no immediate benefit, and that one vision is Satoshi scaling, meaning that she's throwing her hat in Craig Wright's side of the pool. Someone else wrote that they think Bitcoin Cash protocol should be locked down for stability, and that CoinGeek and nChain's proposal to lock in the original Bitcoin protocol by Satoshi into Bitcoin Cash is the right way to go. And some people on Reddit also share a very interesting take. King of the Jaffa Cakes wrote, "Can't I be on side 3? I don't want any forks on this point." And Adam_KX agrees as well. They just really don't want all this infighting, all this controversial changes, and want none of these changes to happen, and Bitcoin Cash just to hum along as it is right now. And I'm not really entrenched in the Bitcoin Cash community, but if I was, I would agree a lot with these two regular community members. I also want to note that in the Bitcoin Cash subreddit rbtc, there's been a rise of accusations, at least, of trolls, brigading, and also censorship going on, which is a big sticky point in the Bitcoin Cash community because they always claim that our Bitcoin, which is for Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Cash, always censors posts that are pro Bitcoin Cash. So when there is supposedly mod censorship going on, they are very unhappy about that and thinks it goes against everything that that subreddit stands for. Phew, that was a very long one, but once again, such a juicy and interesting thing going on in the Bitcoin Cash space. What do you guys think? If you're in the Bitcoin Cash community, which side are you backing? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Once again, please support me by smashing that like button, subscribing if you haven't already, and this is Kevin. I will see you guys next time.